The environmental preservation of Rapa Nui. Another significant concern for the Rapa Nui people is the preservation of their island's delicate environment. With limited natural resources and a fragile ecosystem, the island is highly vulnerable to the impacts of climate change and overexploitation. The introduction of non-native species, overfishing, and soil erosion are just a few of the environmental issues that threaten the island's biodiversity. In response to these challenges, the Rapa Nui have been working to implement conservation measures that aim to protect the island's unique environment. This includes efforts to protect the native flora and fauna, as well as sustainable agriculture practices. The Rapa Nui community is also involved in various initiatives to reduce waste, promote renewable energy, and limit the impact of tourism on the island's ecosystems. In recent years, international environmental organizations have also recognized Rapa Nui as a critical area for conservation. Several collaborative efforts have been made to restore ecosystems, protect endangered species, and raise awareness about the importance of preserving the island's natural and cultural heritage for future generations. The future of Rapa Nui. Looking ahead, the future of Rapa Nui will depend on how well the islanders can balance economic development, cultural preservation, environmental sustainability, and political autonomy. While the island faces many challenges, the resilience of the Rapa Nui people is evident in their ongoing efforts to revitalize their traditions, protect their land, and safeguard their environment. The Moai statues, standing as silent witnesses to the rise and fall of a once great civilization, continue to serve as symbols of endurance and hope. They remind us that despite the passage of time and the hardships faced by the Rapa Nui people, their culture and history are far from forgotten. As the world becomes increasingly aware of the island's unique challenges, there is hope that Rapa Nui can forge a path toward a more sustainable and equitable future, one where its indigenous people are empowered to lead and protect their heritage. Rapa Nui's story is a testament to the enduring spirit of the human community, the importance of cultural resilience, and the deep connection between people and their land. It is a story of lessons learned, of mistakes made, and of an ongoing struggle to rebuild and reclaim what was lost. Ultimately, Rapa Nui stands as both a symbol of the past and a beacon for the future, reminding us all of the need to preserve the delicate balance between nature, culture, and society. Reclaiming Rapa Nui's ancestral land and rights. One of the central issues that the Rapa Nui people continue to face is their struggle for land rights and greater political autonomy within Chile. Since the island was annexed by Chile in the late 19th century, the Rapa Nui people have faced significant challenges in retaining control over their ancestral lands. Much of the land is now owned by the Chilean government or private entities, and the Rapa Nui have limited access to it. This struggle for land rights has been a long-standing issue, as the Rapa Nui people seek to reclaim traditional lands for farming, housing, and cultural practices. The community's efforts have been met with resistance, and there have been instances of clashes between local authorities and Rapa Nui activists. Nevertheless, the movement for greater self-governance and land rights continues to gain momentum, with many Rapa Nui individuals and organizations pushing for the return of ancestral lands to the people. The island's indigenous population has also fought for recognition of their rights to determine their own future. This includes advocating for policies that respect their cultural identity and ensure their participation in decision-making processes. While the Chilean government has made some efforts to address the concerns of the Rapa Nui people, tensions remain, and the islanders' fight for autonomy is ongoing. Tash, the role of tourism in Rapa Nui's modern struggles. In the 21st century, tourism has become one of the most significant sources of income for the island. Tourists from around the world flock to Rapa Nui to witness the awe-inspiring Moai statues and to explore the mysteries of the island's history and culture. However, the booming tourism industry has also brought new challenges to the island's fragile ecosystem and to the cultural preservation efforts of the Rapa Nui people. While tourism brings economic opportunities, it also puts immense pressure on the island's resources. The influx of visitors has led to concerns over environmental degradation, particularly related to waste management and the preservation of archaeological sites. The sheer volume of tourists visiting sacred sites like Ahu Tongariki and Rano Raraku, where many of the Moai statues are located, has raised concerns about the long-term preservation of these monuments. Additionally, there are worries about the commercialization of the island's culture, where traditional practices and ceremonies are sometimes commodified for tourist consumption. As the Rapa Nui people work to balance their cultural heritage with the demands of tourism, there is a growing movement towards sustainable tourism practices. Local leaders are advocating for greater control over the tourism industry to ensure that the island's cultural integrity is maintained while still allowing for economic growth. Sustainable tourism aims to promote responsible travel, educate visitors about the island's history, and ensure that the environmental and cultural impact is minimized. Many Rapa Nui advocates stress that tourism should benefit the local population directly, rather than external companies or international corporations. The global significance of Rapa Nui Easter Island's story is not only a significant part of Polynesian history, but also a universal tale of resilience, loss, and renewal. The Moai statues, the mysterious Rongorongo script, and the island's remarkable cultural heritage continue to capture the imaginations of people around the world. As we look at Rapa Nui's past and its challenges, we are reminded of the delicate balance required to sustain civilizations, whether in ancient times or in the modern world. The island's history serves as a profound metaphor for the consequences of environmental exploitation, the importance of cultural preservation, and the need for sustainable development. The Rapa Nui people's struggle to maintain their traditions and their land highlights broader issues of indigenous rights, environmental conservation, and cultural identity. Their story offers valuable lessons for today's world as we grapple with similar challenges related to climate change, resource management, and the impact of globalization. Conclusion. The story of Rapa Nui is a powerful reminder of the complexities of human history and the intricate relationship between culture, environment, and society. The rise and fall of the Rapa Nui civilization tell us about the consequences of resource overuse, the impact of colonization, and the importance of preserving both nature and culture. As we continue to explore and learn from Easter Island's past, the Moai statues stand as silent sentinels, calling us to reflect on our own actions and how they may shape the future of our planet. As the island's social and political systems began to disintegrate, the role of the Moai shifted. When the statues were toppled during periods of conflict and turmoil, it may have symbolized the loss of spiritual and social cohesion. This destruction of the Moai also marks a period of profound cultural and political change, as the traditional belief systems and leadership structures of the island were challenged. Rapa Nui today. Preservation and revitalization. In modern times, the people of Rapa Nui continue to fight for the preservation of their cultural heritage and environmental rights. Despite centuries of colonialism and external exploitation, the island's indigenous population has shown resilience in maintaining and reviving their traditions. Efforts to protect the Moai statues and other archaeological sites are ongoing, with organizations working to safeguard the island's cultural legacy. In recent decades, there has been a push for greater autonomy for the Rapa Nui people within Chile. The islanders have been advocating for the return of ancestral land and more control over the tourism industry, which has become a major source of income for the island. While tourism has brought economic benefits, it has also led to concerns about environmental degradation and the potential for cultural erosion. The Rapa Nui people are working to balance the need for economic development with the preservation of their unique cultural identity and environment. Today, Easter Island is an example of how fragile ecosystems can be when resources are mismanaged. With limited arable land and a small area to sustain its population, the island's environment couldn't support the growing demands of an expanding society. This is a poignant reminder of the dangers of overexploitation of natural resources and the importance of managing our environment in a sustainable way. Researchers have noted the similarity between the fate of Rapa Nui and modern environmental challenges. Overuse of resources, population growth, and climate change are issues facing many societies today, and the story of Rapa Nui offers a stark warning about the consequences of neglecting ecological balance. The Moai's cultural and spiritual significance. The Moai statues are more than just impressive monuments. They are deeply intertwined with the Rapa Nui people's spiritual beliefs. The statues were thought to embody the spirits of deceased ancestors, and it is believed that their presence on the island ensured the well-being and prosperity of the living. The statue's placement on stone platforms, ahu, was also linked to ceremonial practices, where rituals were performed to honor ancestors and seek their blessings. The act of carving the Moai statues was considered sacred, and each statue was carefully crafted to represent a specific chief or ancestor. The larger the Moai, the greater the mana, spiritual power, it was believed to possess. The transportation of these statues was similarly ritualistic, and it is suggested that the islanders viewed the entire process as a connection between the physical and spiritual realms. The mystery of the Rapa Nui language and writing system. Another fascinating aspect of Rapa Nui civilization is its language and the mysterious writing system known as rongorongo. Rongorongo is a series of glyphs found on wooden tablets and other surfaces on the island, and it remains one of the few undeciphered writing systems in the world. Scholars believe that this script may have been used to record historical events, rituals or genealogies, but its exact purpose and meaning are still unknown. Interestingly, the Rapa Nui people had a strong oral tradition, and many of their stories and knowledge were passed down orally through generations. However, the appearance of the rongorongo script suggests that they may have had a form of written communication at some point in their history. Sadly, much of this knowledge was lost during the later stages of Rapa Nui's decline, especially with the influence of European colonization and the introduction of the Latin alphabet by missionaries. Despite numerous attempts to decode rongorongo, scholars have yet to find a breakthrough. Some believe that the script was deliberately destroyed or abandoned as a result of the collapse of Rapa Nui society, or it could have been overshadowed by the cultural and religious shifts that occurred after the arrival of Europeans. The rongorongo mystery continues to intrigue linguists, archaeologists, and historians alike, as it represents a lost chapter in the history of human writing. The environmental and ecological lessons of Rapa Nui. The story of Rapa Nui offers important ecological lessons, especially when we consider the consequences of environmental degradation. The island, once lush and green, experienced widespread deforestation as the Rapa Nui people cut down trees for various purposes, including building tools, canoes, and transporting Moai statues. This deforestation led to soil erosion, which affected agriculture and contributed to the collapse of the island's ecosystem. The mystery of the Moai statues. One of the most enduring symbols of the Rapa Nui civilization is the Moai statues, which remain an enigma to this day. These towering stone figures, some standing over 30 feet tall and weighing several tons, were carved from volcanic tuff in the Rano Raraku quarry located on the island. The Moai are thought to represent the ancestral chiefs of the Rapa Nui people, with the statues symbolizing both divine power and the authority of their leaders. However, one of the greatest mysteries surrounding the Moai is how these massive statues were transported across the island. The prevailing theory for years was that the statues were walked to their locations using ropes and coordinated movements, a process known as walking the Moai. Recent studies have suggested that, although this technique may have been employed, it remains unclear how the islanders managed such an intricate and complex process without modern machinery. Another key question is why the Moai were abandoned after the civilization's decline. Many of the statues are found toppled and discarded, indicating a possible cultural shift or social upheaval. It is thought that the Moai were linked to the worship of the island's chiefs, and as the political and social systems collapsed, so did the role of the Moai in Rapa Nui society. The arrival of Europeans. The arrival of Europeans in the 18th century added another layer to the tragedy of Rapa Nui's collapse. When Dutch explorer Jacob Roggeveen arrived in 1722, he found the island largely depopulated and in a state of decline. The arrival of Europeans, along with their diseases, disrupted the social fabric of the island even further. Additionally, European traders and slave raiders took many Rapa Nui people away, reducing the population drastically. By the late 19th century, the island was under Chilean control, and the Rapa Nui people were forced into labor. Their resources were exploited, and the Rapa Nui were left with little control over their land and culture. The combination of internal social collapse, European colonization, and exploitation further weakened the island's indigenous culture, leading to a significant loss of traditional knowledge and practices. Modern-day Rapa Nui. Today, Rapa Nui is a part of Chile, and the island is home to a small population of Rapa Nui descendants. While much of their ancient heritage has been lost, the people of Easter Island have worked hard to preserve their culture and traditions. The Moai statues remain a powerful symbol of their history, attracting tourists from around the world. But the islanders also face modern challenges, including tourism's impact on the environment and the ongoing fight for greater autonomy. Efforts have been made to protect and restore the Moai statues, as well as to preserve the archaeological sites that remain on the island. The Rapa Nui people continue to reconnect with their ancestors' traditions through language, dance, and ceremonies, though they still battle to reclaim land and cultural rights from the Chilean government. Lessons from Rapa Nui. The story of Rapa Nui offers several important lessons. Firstly, it highlights the vulnerability of isolated societies and the potential consequences of overexploiting natural resources. The Rapa Nui civilization's downfall serves as a warning of the delicate balance needed between human societies and the environment. The collapse of their society was a result of both internal and external factors, and the loss of their once thriving culture is a poignant reminder of the fragility of human achievements. Moreover, the Moai statues stand as a testament to the creativity and perseverance of the Rapa Nui people. Despite the challenges they faced, their legacy endures in these remarkable monuments, which continue to captivate people worldwide and spark curiosity about the island's mysterious past. Ultimately, the story of Rapa Nui reminds us of the importance of sustainability, cultural preservation, and the need to learn from the past to prevent the same mistakes from being repeated in the future. The Rapa Nui civilization, Easter Island, is truly one of the most fascinating and mysterious stories in human history. The giant Moai statues built by the Rapa Nui people are unique and striking, reflecting the skill and development of the society on the island for over 1,000 years. The development of the Rapa Nui civilization. The Rapa Nui civilization began around 800 AD when the first Polynesians arrived on the island from other parts of the Pacific. They established settlements, developed agriculture, and created the massive Moai statues carved from volcanic rock, which were used to honor their ancestors and gods. These statues not only symbolized religion, but also represented the power and prosperity of their leaders. Why did the Rapa Nui civilization decline? The decline of the Rapa Nui civilization remains an open question, and many theories exist. One of the most prominent theories is that the excessive exploitation of natural resources, especially the island's trees, led to the collapse of their society. The island's trees were used for building tools, canoes, and most importantly, transporting the massive Moai statues. However, the overexploitation of these resources caused the following severe consequences. Deforestation. As trees were cut down, the land became increasingly vulnerable to erosion, making agriculture difficult. This led to a severe food crisis. Social collapse. With resources dwindling, Rapa Nui society began to descend into chaos. Tribal conflicts over power may have resulted in wars and the disintegration of social systems. Other contributing factors to the decline. In addition to resource depletion, there are other factors believed to have contributed to the downfall of this civilization. Climate change. It is possible that climate changes in the Pacific region led to decreased rainfall, causing the land to become drier and making food production even more difficult. External invasions. Though not definitively proven, some theories suggest that the Rapa Nui people may have faced invasions from other tribes, exacerbating the social crisis. Population overload. With a growing population and limited resources on the island, it became increasingly difficult to sustain the population. This led to fierce competition between communities and ultimately the collapse of their societal structures. Legacy of Rapa Nui. Although the Rapa Nui civilization has declined, their legacy remains through the massive Moai statues. These statues are not only a testament to the advanced development of a remote civilization, but also symbolize the deep connection with their ancestors and spirituality. Archaeologists and researchers continue to explore the mysteries surrounding the Rapa Nui civilization, hoping to uncover more clues that explain the rise and fall of their society. The story of Rapa Nui serves as a reminder of the fragility of civilizations and emphasizes the importance of maintaining a balance with nature to prevent a crisis that can lead to irreversible collapse.